пространстве это не просто соседняя страна. Это неотъемлемая часть нашей собственной истории, культуры, духовного пространства. Это наши товарищи, близкие, среди которых не только коллеги, друзья, бывшие сослуживцы.
Why are you doing this? Why are you fighting this needless war? This war of conquest that will topple so many lives. He sent his forces, his missiles, in the middle of the night. These are the troops that had been camped out on the border for months. Troops that Putin had insisted were there for a routine military exercise, and that the US and UK intel swore were actually preparing to invade. Many around the world, including in Ukraine, thought that this was just the West being dramatic. But the intel was exactly right. Those troops crossed the border last week and are now inside the country.
Russian military vehicles, including tanks, entering Ukraine.
The invasion, the attack that Russia promised would never happen, has now started.
The country is being attacked from all directions.
Hours after this invasion started in the middle of the night on Thursday morning, Ukraine's President Zelensky appeared on TV to speak directly to Russians themselves. And along this border, your troops are stationed, almost 200,000 soldiers. Your leaders just approved them to make a step towards us, into the territory of another country. This step is likely the beginning of a massive war on the European continent.
Russia again warned its nuclear forces were on high alert.
Several cities were hit in residential areas, resulting in dozens of civilian deaths.
Right now at 11 o'clock, we begin with our breaking news. Our world is indeed changing as we speak. That smoke in the distance over Kharkiv, Ukraine. It is Thursday morning there. People are now waking up, assessing the damage, and scrambling. You hear the sirens blaring overnight and within the past 90 minutes in the vibrant capital city of Kyiv.
On the morning of February the 24th, Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, effectively declared war on Ukraine and authorized the Russian military to invade the country. Explosions were quickly reported afterwards across the country.
База взорвалась.
What the hell was that? I know. I don't know. It's almost like lightning.
Ебать, опять сейчас.
Обстреляли проспект Победы в районе метро Берестейской. Блокпост, воинская часть. Блядь, горит все.
Сумку, Коля! Хотел сумку возле тачки? Ага, подпиши. Возле тачки поднял. Автоматами на изготовку. Ебать, с тяжелого стреляют в сторону домов. Гранатомета сейчас бьет. Пиздец, стреляй. Ебать.
Residents waking up to the sound of missiles and bombs falling and tanks rolling across the border into all parts of the country.
A huge blast in the center of Ukraine's second largest city.
फिर से लाल हुआ इधर कुछ तो जल भी रहा उधर देखो दिख रहा है तो दूर देखो आवाज आई आवाज आता
Какая жесть.
I just want everybody to understand how horrible this is. This is a democratic and free country in the heart of Europe. They did nothing to deserve this. They have not provoked Vladimir Putin. This is not about this stupid NATO expansion debates now, as if that was the precipitant. This was an unprovoked war. It reminds me of when Hitler invaded Poland.
6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
Skirmishes lit the night sky over Kyiv as invading Russian soldiers meet stiff resistance. That fireball is a Russian plane downed by surface-to-air missiles. The sound of gunfire could be heard echoing across the capital. Blaring sirens warned of air attacks, sending people running for shelter. Ukrainian troops courageously manned strategic positions in Kyiv, blocking this major highway with tanks and their own bodies.
Ukrainians are putting up a fight. Russia facing more resistance than thought. Ukrainian citizens taking up arms and...
In the cities under siege, brave Ukrainians aren't just the ones wearing uniforms. Volunteer fighters, civilians armed with assault rifles, patrolling central Kyiv, ready to defend their country and protect their families. Civilians seen handing out weapons. As families flee, so many others staying to fight, showing Russia, Ukraine's greatest weapon is its people. And tonight, Russia is realizing it is at war with an entire country. Ukraine's military telling its civilians, if you have weapons, use them. Take down street signs to confuse the invaders. And if you see Russian troops in a forest, set it on fire. Jose?
This is a war unlike any war the world has ever seen.
War. I've always had an interesting, relationship with it because I've grown up seeing it all over the news. And war this and war that. And you get so numb to what it even is or what it even means, It's almost just like a game or whatever the government plays or something. And our military is like an option. Like, you choose to go to the military. You know what I mean? Like, in a lot of countries, like, you're forced in the military. Or just like, you know, when your country is forced to go to war, you're just kind of like drafted or whatever. But yeah, like in America, we like choose to go. And it's like, oh, if you have your life together, you can, you know, sign up for the Marines, you know, get a high-paying job. And it's a good career path, and it's like always a good, honorable path. And it's like, we never really think of like what war really is. And it's like, you're kind of just numb to it. Yeah, it's just weird to think about like what's like really happening. Like if you look past all the words, like the only reason that we can't wrap our mind around it, or the reason I feel like people don't understand the gravity of that situation, is because it's just on the news. And it's like, oh, I turn the news on, and it's just always people suffering. What's different this time? Or, oh, I turned the news on and, oh, a war started. What's new? You know? Or you just see people dying, and you see rockets, and you see buildings blowing up, and you see fires, and you see death. And you get used to seeing death, almost, you know? And you get used to seeing just missiles and explosions and war this and war that. And you get so numb to like what it even is or what it even means, you know? And you're just like, oh, what's new? And you're right, to some extent. But I'll tell you exactly what's new. I'm going to just try to tell you why this is just insane. Why you should care. Why it does involve everybody. It's like, I don't know if you know this, but a giant tragedy, like, happened. Like, and it's still happening. Like, as I talk right now, it's actually still happening. It's like, you know, 9/11? How that was, like, a tragedy and, like, people died and it was, like, the worst thing ever. Like, oh my god, 9/11. That, like, happened last week, but, like, times 20. And, like, happened throughout the week and it's actually still happening now. I don't know if you know that, but it's, like, a continuous terror attack, like constantly happening on like just so many people. I don't know how much you know about the Ukraine thing, but it's not good. It's the beginning of the fucking end of the world or something, you know? And it's terrible because World War III is like fucking the boy who cried wolf at this point, you know? And that's what's terrible is because everybody's like World War III, and everybody, and it's like we're just so used to hearing about it now, and we're all rolling our eyes. Except for last Thursday, millions of people woke up. And it was just happening. World War III is just already happening. Whether that's what it's called right now or not, this is the beginning of something, guaranteed. And that's what's fucked up. That's kind of what I'm trying to tell everybody, is that this involves everybody. This is some shit. We're witnessing like a second Holocaust. Like, and the world is being forced to do something about it. And that's all it comes down to. And it's like, I can explain it right here, right now, so easily. And this is going to blow your mind. Okay, so this is so relevant. Check this out. This is a brilliant transition. Okay, so my neighbors are Ukrainian, right? But want to know what's hilarious and ironic about that? I always thought they were Russian because I'm racist or uneducated or stupid or whatever. Me and my family and my friends refer to them as my crazy Russian neighbors. They have a big family. There's like 12 of them or whatever. Maybe that's exaggerated probably, but they have a big family. And I assume they're Russian. But they're come to find out they're Ukrainian. So isn't that awkward and hilarious and fucked up? But that is relevant to everything. Because people say, why is Russia invading Ukraine? So I'll put it in the simplest way ever. So just easy. The Ukrainians and the Russians, if you were to look at them, if you're like me and you're dumb and uneducated, if you were to look at a Ukrainian and you look at a Russian, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They both just speak a foreign language that sounds the same. They both look the same. Okay, so Ukrainian and Russians, very similar, okay? You want to know why? Because they're both just white people from that area, okay? So you with me still? Vladimir Putin sometimes hits the bottle at night, and, you know, apparently he's a sad drunk or something, because, you know, sometimes you get a little drunk and you cry in the nights, you know, and you want to get the boys back together. And you just wish that things were how they were. And so literally, he just wants Ukraine to be part of Russia again. He's like, hey, we're all just white people that look like this and speak this language, right? We should all just be one. But here's the thing. Ukraine is already a separate place already. They have their own flag. They have their own song. They have their own president. They have their own whatever. They're separate people, okay? Even if they're like, okay, yeah, we're the same people. We're both white and whatever. And yeah, that's all that it is. Vladimir Putin just wants to get Ukraine involved with Russia again. He just wants it to be all one big happy family. But it's like, why? It's like nobody agrees that that's worth genociding millions of people over, because they've already established their thing. Some things you just have to get over. Like you're not gonna just get the boys back together. Like you're not just gonna like force the family to together and happy again. Okay, they've already established their own thing. You know, they're already proud of their, you know, whatever, and they're already separate. And that's literally what the whole thing's about. Except there's a plot twist because the world's ridiculous. So there's at least one plot twist. You know what the plot twist is? If Russia and you could take Ukraine, if they had that area, it would be easier to fight everybody else. Okay, so that's not suspicious or weird, right? Okay, so you're like, that's like the only motivation. So you're like, okay, so he's preparing for war with everybody else. That's super obvious. Okay, so if he's trying to take over Ukraine, the only reason other than a wet dream of his to be like, oh, just imagine if we were all one place, because why does that even matter? It doesn't, right? The only reason it would matter is if he wants this whole area because it's easier to fight other places. If Ukraine was on, like if the world broke out in a world war or whatever, and Ukraine was not on Russia's side because of where it's at, it would be bad because of the ocean or whatever, you know what I mean? If Russia took Ukraine and the surrounding areas and was that whole landmass, that's probably what Russia wants to do. They want to take over that whole landmass so that they can fight everybody else. Or at least that's the word on the street. So yeah, that's it, the end. But okay, so I'm going to try to explain what happened a week ago without saying war or without saying sanction. I'm just going to tell it like a story, like I would just speak to any person, right? I'm going to talk about the invasion. So it's crazy to think about it like this. This is like literally insane. And the world is so interesting and weird and ridiculous. And it's like we're seeing firsthand like how wars start, and we're seeing firsthand like how like people take over lands and like conquer things. We're seeing like an uprising, like a conquering, or like, you know, like Genghis Khan's freaking ruling, or Hitler freaking like one of those just reignings. We're in the process of seeing it. And I feel like people in America are like, it doesn't involve me. But like, bro, let me explain some shit. This is like, A of all, it's super sad. B of all, it's insane. C of all, I think that people haven't thought about the reality of what's actually happening or what it means because it's so ridiculous. And I'm like the last person that normally cares about anything, you know what I mean? But it's like this rubbed me the wrong way. And it's like the world is changing. Like something's gone down. Like, and you know what's so weird to think about? I went Googling around earlier, and you know, here's something to think about. This is real shit. So the longest war that we've fought as America was like 13 years or something. Or like the Vietnam War was 20 years and we were involved for like 13 or something. But the Afghanistan War was America's longest war, and that was 13 years, right? But it's weird to think World War II lasted, what, like 6 years? And the Holocaust lasted 3 years? I didn't know that. I thought it was way longer than that. I thought fucking World War II went on for like generations or whatever. Everyone's like, okay, well you obviously didn't pay attention to school, Kyle. Yeah, duh, okay. So yeah, I'm dumb. Maybe I'm the only fucking person who knew that, but yeah, it was mind-blowing to me. But you know, that's weird to think about because World War III could break out and be over within our lifetime. Isn't that fucking weird? And that is what's happening. So what I'm trying to say is it's pretty much already begun. Yeah, because at any moment we're gonna get dragged into this shit. Like people are like, oh, what's happening to white people this time? Oh, so white people say that we should all pay attention now. And it's and oh, there's a European war now, so now everybody needs to, like, the whole world needs to just pay attention. But it's not about that. The whole world needs to pay attention, A of all, because of the nuclear thing, and B of all, because, yeah, it's pretty much the whole world at this point. But it's weird what's happening, because don't think of it as war for a second. We're just going to think of it as what's happening. So, one day, people are just, like, getting up, going to work, flipping burgers, selling cars, you know, jacking off, playing video games. You know, just living a white, privileged, first world country, freaking first world problems life, right? And then one day, they turn on the news, and Russia is announcing that they're going to just start bombing them. I'm going to try to explain this without saying war, remember? So they turn on the news and they just see that Russia has decided that they have a new law that they passed or some new bill that got voted in, and they're just going to start taking over the neighboring country. That's their new political move. And you know, they're allowed to do it. They're allowed to declare war on a country, right? Because the world and countries and we're all, it's just a Game of Thrones, like big weird chess board, right? So they're allowed to just fill out the paperwork and declare war. But so what does that mean? It means, he decided that he was just gonna come over there and kill everybody. They turn the news on and they say, hey, everyone in Ukraine, just prepare for death because we're overthrowing your government. So And if you don't want to die, we'll just kill you, or who knows what we'll do with you. But we're coming over. Just imagine like a neighbor coming over to your house and just being like, so I'm going to kill your children, I'm going to murder your wife, and then I'm going to burn your house down, blow your car up, beat the crap out of you, and then I'm going to leave. Like literally though. Like what? Okay. They just announced on the news, oh yeah, we decided we're just going to randomly throw bombs at you guys. They're like, say that again? In English? Oh, we're going to randomly hurl explosions into your city? They're like, why would you do that? Are you a lunatic? They're like, no, yeah, you're in our way for things. But the point is that we thought that there was no more evil like this. And the reason that everybody has to pay attention is because all of a sudden there's a villain now. The world has like an evil supervillain now. We have like a bad, like the world versus him now, I feel like. But it's a weird fucked up situation because their own citizens don't want it. Some of Vladimir Putin's people don't even want it. It's like, who knows what they want. Their military is being like lied to, and they're being like threatened. Like, not all of them, I'm sure, but like some of them are. And it's just like, it's a whole disaster. But yeah, imagine that. You're just sitting at your house playing video games. Phone just starts going off like some Amber Alert thing. And you're like, oh God, what is it this time? And you wait for it to turn off, except for like it doesn't turn off. And you're like, Jesus Christ, is my phone just going to ring forever? Like, and you just try to ignore it, but you eventually just go over to your phone and you look at it and you're like, oh, it says that like nobody should go outside, and that work is canceled, and that everybody should stay indoors, and that if things start blowing up, that the government's sorry, and that apparently there's people coming to kill us, so stay inside and lock your doors. You're like, that's not an Amber Alert. That's like a what is that? Like, are you fucking kidding? And they're like, no, we're not kidding. And they're like, why would they do that? Are they allowed to do that? Why would they do that? Or like, do they realize that they're lunatics if they come in here and they do that? It's like, dude, yeah, I don't know. I really don't. But they're just coming here to kill us. And then they just randomly start throwing bombs. They're like, why are they just randomly blowing things up? They're like, yeah, because they're just, I don't know, because they want you to evacuate, or they want to kill you, or both. But they're just pretty much just trying to take over this area, so they're just going to just level it, or make you run, or kill everybody, or who knows, but they're pretty much just coming here to just level everything, so. It's like they're clearing out a forest to build a super mall, except for, like, the forest is like an entire country of people. And the people are like the trees, like, hey, don't cut us down. We're living things. Like, you can't just do that to us. Like, we're here. We have our lives. We have our thing. We've been here for so long. Like, we're rooted in the ground. What are you doing? You can't just build the super mall. And Putin's like, no, I've already had my mind made up. Just levels just everything, kills everybody, has no regard for life at all, and just, builds a strip mall. It's literally what's happening. And that's not even that difficult to explain. And people are like, hey, that's super, like, rude, Abel. You can't just try to take over the world. You can't just be, like, sly about it and be like, I'm not trying to take over the world, when it's, like, super obvious, you know what I mean? And then you're like, it's just, like, obviously it's, like, beating the crap out of this country. Like, that's what's happening. It's like if countries were people, he's just, like, just starts randomly just murdering Ukraine. And everybody's like, hey, you can't do that. And he's like, yeah, it's called being a bad guy. I know I'm not allowed to do it. Because, yeah, we're 7 days into the war. And he's already just, like, done all these war crimes and, like, done all these things that are, like, outlawed. And you're like, hey, Eval, why is there, like, rules to war? And then, like, so, of course, he's, like, breaking them. But that also just proves that he is actually a bad guy, remember? So now that's dragging the world into it. Like, hey, you have to abide by the war rules. And he's like, no, I'm taking over the world. That's part of the war. I don't give a fuck about the rules. And we're just like, oh, well, you're not allowed to do that. And he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm a bad guy, remember? Like, fuck you guys. And throws bombs at us. And we're like, oh, what the fuck? And so that's making the world fight back. Like, everybody's getting involved now. Because another dumb thing that he did is he just starts bombing nuclear power plants. Like, Ukraine has nuclear power plants. And so they don't have to nuke them. Like, nuclear war has already begun. Because they didn't have to drop a nuclear missile on Ukraine. If they have a nuclear power plant and they drop a bomb on it, and that the reactor gets breached or whatever the fuck you call it, it's like the same fucking thing. And so they've already done that. They've literally are attacking nuclear reactors, trying to do that right now. And they're just like, oh, they're starting nuclear war just on the sly, just on the DL. And they're like, oh, it's not the same thing. But it literally is, though. And, like, Ukraine's screaming, like, hey, we realize that and so that's dragging the entire world into it now. Like, hey, this is one of those war crimes. And he's like, yeah, but remember, I don't care about the rules, and I'm just doing whatever I can to win. And so now the entire world's like, oh, okay, so we have to stop him because he's a lunatic. And then Ukraine's like, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying from the beginning, when he randomly started just beating the shit out of us and killing everybody and destroying everything for no reason. We were like, hey, that's a lunatic. And then now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, god damn it, yeah, we have to stop him, don't we? Or something. or whatever the fuck. Because yeah, nuclear shit, right? It doesn't matter if it's reckless or like on accident or on purpose. Either way. And yeah, he's like breaking all these rules, and it's like, of course he would. But it's just, I don't know. Like, you're in downtown, all of a sudden, like, it's a terrorist attack. Like, oh, people are, like, fucking bleeding and screaming and things are on fire. And all of a sudden, people are just, like, running, like, shooting. You're like, oh, is this, like, it's a mass shooter? It's like, oh, there's a gunman. And then you realize it's like, oh, it's several gunmen. You're like, why is there several gunmen? And then all of a sudden, like, buildings start blowing up. And you're like, how, like, you're like, was that the gunman? Like, and then you realize that, like, you're being, like, attacked. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, why are they just military style, like, just, like, waves of like troops and like fucking bomb, like why are they just like attacking us like it's like a fucking game, or it's like why are they just like, oh, it's battle, just fight, and why are they just like attacking us like it's a fucking action movie? And so people are on the streets just like, oh my god, why is this all of a sudden like an action movie? Like who, like what billionaire is like off his rocker, or like who decided, like who finally pissed off who, like to what the fuck is happening in the world? Why is there World War III all of a sudden? Why did Ukraine wake up one morning and all of a sudden it's literally the end of the world? They're like, why the fuck? And so yeah, everybody's just like, why? And you know what the answer is? The consensus? The consensus that because in reality is who fucking knows? Who knows? Literally. Because in all reality, like, who even fucking knows? Like, who knows? You know, this guy's going to say that. This guy's going to say that. You know, Putin is going to say this. But is he even really in control of all the people? Because they're going to probably say this. And it's like, you know, it's like, but who even knows? You know, who, like, but at the same time, it doesn't even matter. It's like, oh, why are they doing it? Do people ask why the Holocaust happened? I mean, yeah, sure, probably, yeah. But it's like, at a certain point, it's like the why doesn't matter. It's just like, stop doing it, though. It literally does not matter why. It's like when somebody, like if a family member of yours gets murdered, like of course you want to know why. Like, why? But at the same time, it doesn't matter why, because it sucks all the same either way. I don't care why he blew up my fucking condo and it killed my entire family. The Russians just blew up my apartment and it killed my family. Do you think I care why? But I'm pissed at the Russians, though. I can tell you that much, or whatever. But it's like, you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm sure it's all a controversy over there, too. And like, if it were to start raining bombs here, it would all be a controversy. Because everything's always a controversy. Everything's always a conspiracy. And there's never a straight answer to anything. COVID? Oh, nope. There's never a straight answer. Everybody has a different answer for it. Every, you know, it's just as unique as everybody's fingerprint is. So yeah, from COVID to freaking like this or that, it's like everything's such a conspiracy. And I'm sure that's what it's like over there. Like from Russia to Ukraine to the United States, it doesn't even matter. Like if it started raining bombs here, nobody would know why. Nobody would know why. If our towns just started randomly being bombed, it would be like, it's the goddamn Russians. That's the goddamn Chinese. It's the goddamn freaking North Korea. It's the goddamn Australians. Like it's like, no, it's actually God. It's like, you know, they bet you anything. If we started being bombed, nobody would fucking know why. And let alone like the real reason why, you know. Even if it's obvious, even if it's in the news, it's like, is that really ever really why? It's like, maybe we're just being fed some shit. It's like, who even really knows why? Because it's like the Afghanistan war. It's like, was that over oil? Was it over opium? Was it just because we don't like Arabian people? What was it, you know, is it just because we wanted to just be at war with somebody? Is it just because, like, yeah, what was that over? Nobody even knows, you know. So yeah, war's always been a controversy or a conspiracy or whatever the fuck the word is. I don't even know. All words sound the same to me nowadays. It's like if anybody ever said the Ukrainians, oh, they could have seen this coming. It's like, I bet yes and no. But that's also not even fair to say that. It's like saying somebody that gets murdered, it's like, oh, they should have seen it coming. Cool, thanks. Like, you're, like, what? But yeah, I'm just saying that probably is true and isn't true. It's probably like the same thing as us. If us as America, if we got bombed, it's like, oh, well, they should have seen it coming. Yes and no, you know? I'm sure that there's people out there that never think there will be a war in the streets over in America. And I'm sure that people think, oh, yeah, that's going to totally happen inevitably. You know what I mean? But it's like, but yeah, so everything's always a conspiracy. So it's like, over there right now, the reality of what's happening is people are just dying. Brutal, violent deaths. And they have no idea why. They're like, what the fuck? We're being attacked. It's because there are trees that are being cut down for the super mall. And their president is literally like, hey, We're not just trees. You can't just cut us down like that. Like, what the fuck? You have to stop. Like, the illegal stop. And he's just like, no. He's just like, no, I'm going to sit in my office and straighten my tie, and my paperwork says, we voted, apparently, and we're just going to continue to go, just kill everything. It's part of the plan. We got our own thing. Just shut up. And if you get involved, we'll just start killing you, too. We're like, excuse the fuck out of me. And so it's like now, so everybody's involved because everybody wants to be tough, and Russia's like doing this thing. So now everybody's like involved, and it's great. But yeah, it's all a conspiracy. So it's like, why is this happening? Oh, fuck. Who knows? Oh, fuck. At the end of the day, when they're in the streets and their house just blew up and, they're like ducking bombs and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it just turned into like fucking like Battlefield or like Call of Duty. Like literally, I can't believe that my life has turned into this. That like, I feel like I'm going to be dead in the next couple of days because like everything's being demolished. I have nowhere to go. Everything's in disarray. It's like literally the worst situation possible all of a sudden for no reason. I'm so confused and panicked, and it's like literally hell on earth all of a sudden for so many people, and they're just freaking out, and they're like, what the fuck? And somebody's like, can somebody stop this serial killer that's just on this rampage all of a sudden? And people are like, well then he's going to start turning on me and rampaging me. But then again, at the same time, we should stop the rampage because it's super fucked up. We can only watch the rampage for so long before we feel like we have to stop it. You know what I mean? At the same time. Because we're like, dude, what the fuck? We see what's happening. It's kind of obvious. Whether they say this or that, we see what's happening. So it comes down to the reasoning. It doesn't matter the reason. We see what's happening. So when you're in the streets watching people die and your house is gone and you're like, what am I going to do? You're like, why did they do this? So that it doesn't matter. That's what's so awesome about it. The why goes right out the window because it happened. And you can't, like, what is figuring out the reason going to do? It's not going to undo it. It's just going to, like, the why should never even really be asked because who fucking cares? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like, of course you want to know why and this or that, but the why doesn't even matter. And it's super fucked up because, yeah, when you're holding your child that's been blown in half, that's all that matters, is that happened. And you're like, great, there's no undoing that. It doesn't matter why. If the why could get it to stop, then it'd be irrelevant. But you know what I mean? Yeah, at a certain point, you can't stop to ask that question. You just have to you know what I mean? It's just so fucked up. I go on forever. It just sucks to think that like a week ago, literally, just about, there was millions of people. They were just living their lives normally. Just getting up, brushing their teeth, making bacon and eggs, going to work at McDonald's, flipping burgers, coming home, boning their wife, fucking, just living their life. And then all of a sudden, just starts like raining missiles. And they're like, bro, what the fuck was that? Was that like a comet? Was that like what the fuck? And like they turn the TV on and Russia's like, oh yeah, that was us. Like we're actually just gonna start killing you guys because we're gonna take your government over. And they're like, what? And they said, don't worry, we're only gonna shoot rockets at your military. What was it? Your military and your transportation or something. It's like, hey, no, yeah, that's terrible. They said it like it was just, oh no, we're just gonna attack your military and government. No, yeah, that's terrible. Those like the main what the fuck? Yeah, those no, okay. You don't just say it like, oh, we're just gonna we're just gonna attack the military and government places. Except for they also didn't do that though. They attacked civilian and military. They attacked everywhere. But yeah, so one day people are just like, driving to work, boom, shit explodes. They're like, oh my God. So they were serious when they said that they were literally just going to start like hucking missiles, and they were just going to start throwing explosions at us just to see what happens, just to kill random people, just because they don't care. Like just for what and just so people are just driving to work, all of a sudden cars blow up. And they're like, hey, this isn't normal. This isn't Afghanistan. What the fuck is going on? They're like, bro. Next thing you know, it's raining men. And no, not even in a good way. It's just raining men. You're like, hey. Is skydiving like the new thing all of a sudden? Or is everybody mass committing suicide? Or like, what's happening? Why is there like thousands of people parachuting? What's happening? They're like, oh no, yeah, those are serial killers. You're like, what do you mean by that? They're like, yeah, that news announcement where Russia said that they were gonna take this land. Yeah, that's them. You're like, that's who? That's Russia. What do you mean that's Russia? No, those are serial killers. They're just no, those people are just coming to kill us. Yeah, those people are just they're just raining and just they're just little destruction things. They're just gonna come in to fuck up everything. They're just gonna kill everybody. It's just raining serial killers. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? And they're like, can we, like, what? And they're like, can we shoot him? They're like, oh, I'm sure you can. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, do whatever you want. I mean, unless you want to die, right? And you're like, why? Who allowed them to do that? You're like, nobody. They did. They did, I guess. Nobody's allowing them to. They just are. You're like, well, how are so many of them, like, just gonna break the law? You're like, oh, they're not even breaking the law, they don't think. They're just doing whatever. They're just coming to kill you. They don't even, who knows why. Yeah, and then they, you know, one day you're going to work. 2 days later, nobody's going to work, you know? There's no drive-thrus. There's no McDonald's, you know, Papa John's. There's no, you know, you go to the grocery store, and it's not even like you pay anymore. It's like you run in there and you fucking grab what you want and you fucking slap somebody and you run away. It's like everything's in disarray just immediately. And we're learning a lesson from that. We're watching that happen. And so that's why it's crazy and sad and ridiculous and relevant to our lives, because it's going to be on our doorstep in no time. They didn't think that it would be at their doorstep ever. And now it's like they are in a full-blown war. They're in a war-ravaged town. They're just in a town where people are just roaming around trying to murder them. There's people just trying to just steal all their buildings. They just want to, and anybody that tries to stop them, they're just going to kill them. Russia decided that they need more room, so they're just going to start stealing all these buildings. And if anybody stopped them, like they'd rather blow them up. That's how much they want that area. They'll just blow it up, kill the people in it, and just build another one. Like, they're just going to expand their land, like they're a disease or something. And it's like, well, they're not allowed to do that. It's like, yeah, they know. They don't care. They're just doing it, you know. It's called declaring war, I guess, is what they, you know. And then so that's why people are just like, wait a minute, are they allowed to do that? It's like, no, yeah, they're allowed to do that. It's like, oh, no. So Putin pretty much decided, oh, if Putin were to shoot somebody in the face, is that allowed? If he just shot somebody, I mean, I guess so, right? Because he's pretty much just saying, hey, I'm just going to start killing all these people. Pushes a button and, you know, sends a rocket. It's like the same thing as him killing somebody, right? But no, so him personally, he's pretty much just like sending out all these killers. Like, hey, just talking to 1,000 people like, hey, yeah, go kill everybody in this town. Okay, so that's pretty much him in a way, killing all these people, right? And sure, it's like, yeah, their armies are controlled by, you know, the president, and it's not just him, and of course, I know that, but it's, at the same time, they are aggressors. People aren't really aggressors anymore. People aren't evil. Normally wars are like over things. That's what's different about this time also. Is normally wars are over things like, oh, the oil, or oh, like religion, or like, oh, like, you guys are being dicks over this or that. But this is literally just because they just want to be a disease and expand and be bigger. They just want more land or whatever. Or they just want, you know, they want the people to unite. Except for they don't really, they just want the land. And if people were to unite, that means they got the land. So it's kind of the same thing. But it's like, they just want that land so that they can take over the world. Or it would help them strategically in battle if they had that whole area. And the reason why nobody realizes that it's so serious and crazy and brutal and sad and messed up is because it's just people in ties on TV just like, well, the sanctions are going to be like, well, World War III, and like, well, Russia, you got to stop doing what you're doing, and like, but they don't realize that, like, he's literally just like people are being shot, people are being stabbed, like murder's bad, right? Like, if you got murdered, that'd be like the worst thing ever, right? Like, if you went out and murdered somebody right now, like, that'd be like the fucking worst thing you could do, right? But no, people are just by the thousands, just like they're on a mission. It's like, and the mission is just to go just kill everybody. It's like, is that real life? No, yeah, that is real life. That's what's happening literally right now. And it's like, oh, it's just war. It's just another day in the office for war. Another day in the war office, ooh. But it's totally different. We should just call it mass murder instead of war, you know what I mean? I declare war on you. I declare I'm going to mass murder you and your people. Except for, yeah, that's normally it's over something. And this time it's just but that's what it comes down to, is people were just driving to work one day. They realize the buildings are fucking being blown up. They're like, oh my god, so they're actually just going to start trying to kill us? Like, do we fight back? Do we run away? They're like, dude, we don't even fucking know. Like, do whatever you want to do. Like, everything's in disarray. Don't fucking take my advice. I haven't been through this before. I'm running away. Fucking, like, who knows? People are running and screaming. I don't know. Run and scream. Who the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, you know, don't ask me what to do. Like, everything's in disarray. Everything fell apart, like, instantly, and everybody's just running around with guns now. They're just handing out guns on the streets. It's, like, fucking ridiculous. And people are just like, how did this happen? Or why did this happen? Why are they doing this? And at the end of the day, it's just like, does it even matter? reason is a pointless human conundrum that's kind of useless to think about. Because, yeah, I've been trying to think about what I've been trying to say with this whole thing. And it's like, I think it's because we want to know why so much. We're like, why would this happen? Like, what is the fucking justification and the reasoning for all this destruction and sadness? Surely there must be a reason. Is there like some new paradise that's just oozing vagina and like gold, and it's just like this new, and is there something that we don't know about? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we just think, yeah, there has to be a reason for all this. Like, he wouldn't just ruin everything for millions of people, just brutally torture and just like put millions of people through a horrible nightmare, just brutal ending, murder, just a nightmare for millions of people. Just continuously, just still happening. Just like, surely there must be a reason. There must be a great reason. Like, just a golden, just amazing, like, he found fucking, like, sexual aliens that have ghost drugs. Like, just an amazing reason. There has to be just, like, something fucking really cool, right? Or he's just, like, doesn't give a fuck. Or he just is just meant, oh, like a lunatic. Or, like, maybe not a lunatic, but maybe he just doesn't think about people as, like, actual things. And maybe he's just, like, a lunatic at that aspect, where he just doesn't have empathy or whatever. But, yeah, so you always want to know, like, why would he just bomb these people? Why would he think that that's okay? Like, please, explain your mind so I can understand your side. Because you have some idea in your mind of how this is cool. So explain that to me so that I can be on your side and be like, okay, cool. I'm glad those people are dead. Right? Because if you're bombing all these people and you're doing all this stuff and you're like mission accomplished, let me see your mission so that I can be like, okay, cool. Your mission accomplished. Now I see your side. Like, okay, so explain to me your side, right? Like, so you want to get in their head. You want to know why. Why the fuck did you do this? What is your master plan? So, but it comes down to when these cities get bombed, it's like, sure, it might be Putin himself, but there's also people in the ships, or there's people firing the weapons, or I'm imagining that it's like a multiple person decision thing, or like, you know, there's at least a few chains of command or whatever. But so when you're like wondering why did the city get bombed and all these people died for no reason, it'll drive you insane to think why, and you'll never get answers, and you'll ask everybody why, and everybody will give you a different answer, and it'll drive you insane, and you'll just go mad, and you'll never find the real reason. And even when you do find the real reason, it's so drowned out in all these other reasons that you don't know which the fuck one it is, and you realize there's endless possibilities, and it'll drive you mad. I think this is what I'm trying to come down to. And it'll drive you insane. But I think that you can find peace in the fact of knowing that it doesn't matter. You'll never know the real reason for these things, for sure. And it's sad, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why they happen. Wanting reason is just a human thing. And as long as we long for it, you know, we won't ever get the answer. So as long as we long for something that we won't ever get, it's just like setting ourselves up for sadness. So just realize that it doesn't matter. Like, oh, why did they murder my parents? It doesn't really matter why. You're sad that your parents are dead, remember? You're sad about that. Knowing why doesn't make that not sad or anything anymore. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know, worrying is a useless human conundrum. I thought that was interesting. Because, yeah, there's so many different reasons also. It's like, oh, why did it happen? There's different reasons. There's like just, and yeah, it's like, so there's never even, like, it's a human idea that doesn't even really exist. And it's like, it'll drive you insane, but it's like, it doesn't, it's just like, people are fucked up, I guess, is the ultimate reasoning for everything. Because people are ridiculous. Because the world is out of control. That's the reason for everything. Every time you just watch somebody's city get bombed, why did this happen? Because the world is out of control. Because whoever controls those bombs or whatever clearly doesn't know what the fuck is happening or what they're doing anymore. Or like, who knows? You know, who the fuck even knows? It's raining bombs. Who knows? It's just in the forecast. Who fucking knows, you know? Oh, it's just raining missiles. You know, who fucking knows why? You know, but you should do something about it. The fact is, it is raining missiles, okay? You don't have to find out why. When you predict the weather and you find out that it's raining missiles, you don't ask why. You just prepare for it to rain missiles, I guess. You know what I mean? So, it's fucked up.